Yeah, and they were like, oh my God, that's so creepy. Oh my God, why did you make something so creepy? And I was like, is it creepy? And so then when I took it to the first shows, and people were like, oh my God, they're so creepy. They're so creepy. So then I was like, oh, you think those are creepy? I'm just going to make what I want now.
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Greetings and welcome to the Anadromous. This is Burn Power, coming to you on a cool evening here in Tbilisi, Georgia. And this is going to simply be, as you can tell if you're a longtime watcher of the channel, this is pretty short for me. This will be a segment of an interview with Jana Seven, a Dollmaker, as part of the Cute and the Creepy series, but just an addendum off to the side. And I do quote a little bit from her in my creepy part of the Cute and the Creepy series, but I thought what I would do is give you a little bit more of what she thinks about her work being called creepy and its orientation towards death and what that means for her, because those things go together. Now, there is a longer interview on my Gravity from Above channel, which I will try to link up here somewhere. And if you want the entire interview with her, I highly suggest following the link, going over to my other channel, and checking it out. Now, some of you may be coming here, you may be somewhat new to the channel because you're following the Cute and the Creepy series. Well, that's okay. And I'm not trying to prove anything with this particular video, except to say, here's an artist who doesn't consider her work to be, quote unquote, creepy, as we now use the word in this sort of strange past and texture denying sense. But this is a person who really is an artist making puppets, a few puppets, but mostly dolls. She does one or two puppets, but these dolls that have a lot of texture, they are not the kind of dolls that scream, oh, play with me. They're the kind of dolls that scream, something is going on. No, they don't scream at all. They whisper. Well, before we get started here, besides the usual, have you subscribed to the channel kind of comments? Have you liked the video kind of comments? Do you feel like contributing to the channel kind of comments? See link below. Besides those comments, I do want to point out that the first thing we're going to see is simply a series of images of her dolls and a couple of puppets. So we're just going to take a break, watch a few images. Near the end, we'll do the same on our way out of the interview, and I hope you enjoy it. There will be a couple of videos, stop motion videos she put together. I see the influence of the Quay brothers here, as well as a little bit of Jan Schwankmeyer, but that's just my observation. Without any further ado, let's get into Jana and her dolls and her views on her work being called creepy. so when you first started showing them to people,
Mhm.
the first dolls before you were really even thinking too much about selling them, what
Right.
kind of reaction did you get?
No matter what I made, people thought it was creepy. Like, and I was not. I was like, I thought the door to my dark side was still closed. I wasn't really conscious of my that aspect, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
this is sort of later thoughts. Oh, that's what was happening. I thought that door was still closed. I was just making like 5 foot cat, 3 foot pig, little tiny animals and stuff. And
Hmm.
I didn't think
And they were
little
already thinking
people.
those were creepy.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh my god, that's so creepy. Oh my god, why did you make something so creepy?" And I was like, "Is it creepy?" And so then when I took it to the first shows, and people were like, "Oh my god, they're so creepy. They're so creepy." So then I was like, "Oh, you think those are creepy? I'm just going to make what I want now,
Right,
And
right. I've
and
already
that's when
crossed the line.
yeah, yeah, like I was really trying, especially like the maker show that I did here in North Adams.
Hmm.
I was really not trying to do creepy. I
Right.
was doing like little old ladies, like my little Baba dolls and little houses and
I
stuff.
hate
And
to
I thought,
tell you
oh,
this, but almost everything connected with age now is, by somebody's standards, considered creepy.
yeah,
And I mean, just try to imagine the Instagram generation aging and what they're going to have to do to keep
oh
presenting
boy,
photos of themselves.
yeah,
And already
that's
there's
actually
been
creepy.
massive upticks in certain kinds of strange uh, cosmetic surgery operations that have to do
Yes.
with seeing yourself face on
Oh, right, of
with
course.
selfies.
For selfies,
Yeah, and people
right?
want a certain kind, and what they don't realize is this
Oh
is what the
man,
camera is doing to you.
right,
Yeah,
right.
and well, I mean, part of the reason I wanted to talk with you is because I consider your dolls works of art.
Thank you.
I also understand that there are going to be people who consider these to be creepy. And I've
Yes,
been hearing this word applied to more and more things now. And it almost seems to be hovering around any old thing,
yes, yes,
which
and
is
anything
really
handmade
strange.
for
But
sure.
then we have now the younger generation literally has no physical stuff. That is to say, everything's a file online. The
Right,
movies they're
right,
watching are digital, they're shiny, they're sleek.
right,
They're used to watching horror films, but horror films aren't creepy in that weird kind of sense. And
right.
and at the same time, I mean, I feel the way you do. For me, when I make something, if someone calls it creepy, I'm like, yeah, of course it is. It's like, what's your
Right,
problem?
right,
Do you have a problem with old stuff that has texture? Because that's what I
right,
see in your work is scads of texture.
right, right.
And that almost seems to be the real point, is like you were kind of doing this digital work, which,
Hmm.
it wasn't fully a textural kind of thing at all.
Right,
And
right,
what texture you can get is it's difficult to achieve.
right.
And so suddenly you go to what? Are you using like burlap? Do I see that in some of them?
A lot of I mostly like really rough linen.
Hmm. Hmm. What
And
other fabrics and textures do you use?
I use well, I clay I use for the faces, and I also carve wood. And fabrics I use is really a combination of either linens that I buy
Hmm.
um, from Latvia,
Okay.
or I have just a huge trunk full of scrap fabrics
Yeah.
that I've just been collecting, and like old clothes that I can rip up. And I
Uh,
have
as
friends
a
who just
puppeteer, I do the same thing. Do you have material sitting around ready to go, or
no, no,
did you
because
have to hobble
it was
around the
literally
house and?
it was. I think the only thing I went and got was tinfoil, so that I could cover the wire
Hmm.
with
Right.
some material that I could then lay paper mache on. So that's all I was doing. So I was just like, I had newspaper because we have a wood stove.
Right.
I have flour because I bake bread.
Right.
So I was like, I've got chicken wire because we have
Right.
chickens. So I was just like kind of pulling things together and using what I had. And that's kind of how I started. And then it became like a real obsessive drive. So that
Right.
anytime I wasn't, I started looking at the children's books I was doing as like these stupid things that I had to kind of get through so that I could get to the fun stuff. And I would spend like all nights, weekends, just working
You
with.
have a very specific kind of image. I don't know if you have any dolls near you that you could hold up to the screen. I'm going to ask you to send me some photos.
Okay, I will do that.
Video stuff, but maybe you could just.
I'm working on this. Yeah, I'm working on this series right now, so I can hold him up.
Yeah.
He's dead, sadly, but I don't know. You can kind of see he's got a little some texture and texture and sadness, which is what I do. Texture
so is that his burial shroud?
Actually, it's a story, kind of. Do you want me to tell you the story of him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is for a collection I'm doing with a friend for holiday season, because for the holidays everyone loves a dead doll.
Absolutely. What else would you give a friend? But what else would you decorate with but a dead doll?
But a death. So the story.
I am so glad that I already know you and I don't have to worry about what, like if I was just meeting you right now and I didn't know, we didn't have this history of friendship behind us. And so I know your sense of humor and stuff. I would be walking really carefully right now. But like, so why have you got a dead doll? Anyway, continue.
all of my dolls, most of my dolls have some tragic story of death behind them, and I think we can talk about that too.
Yeah,
for this, because that just keeps seeping into everything. Said, having to do what other people wanted and working in the children's book industry, it was constantly me having to suppress any darkness, anything that wasn't, really, really ridiculously cheerful.
Right.
Which I have ridiculously cheerful too.
Yeah, I know your personality. Yeah, you have a great sense of humor. So obviously, we just got done talking about dead dolls with a smile. So yeah. Well, there you are. The dolls of Jana Seven. And I think that they are beautiful. They are works of art. And she does have a site, and the name is escaping me right now. She does have a site, and I will put a link to it down below. And I just want you to think about these words we use. I don't mind her work being called creepy. She doesn't either. But when people use that word to denigrate things from the past and to denigrate things with texture, that's when I start having a problem. But you can watch the full-length video in the Cute and the Creepy series on the creepy for that. Meanwhile, it's time to get out of here. And I appreciate you watching any of my videos, really. And I appreciate all of you sticking around. If you have any comments, please leave comments. I love to read comments. And if you have any comments for Jana, let her know. I'll tell her to come along and read it. And let's see, what else can we say? I think we can say what the Georgians say. Droebit. Which means, yeah, just temporarily. We'll just be gone from each other a little while, and then we will meet again.
A people without history is not redeemed from time. For history is a pattern of timeless moments.